Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be bringing you the results for New Japan Pro Wrestling Windy City Riot, along with the rest of the week that was in pro wrestling. It was definitely a very exciting week, so let's get into it. So first up, we're going to go through the results for New Japan Pro Wrestling Windy City Riot. Start off with Ren Narita beating Minoru Suzuki. Probably not an easy task. Stephanie Vazquez, I hope I'm saying that right, successfully retains her strong women's title by defeating Azumi, who is from Stardom. I thought it was just AZM. It's Azumi, which is interesting. TMDK, that's Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols. If you don't know who they are formerly TM61 of NXT. That's going a little back a ways, as they beat Fred Rosser and Tom Lawler, the West Coast Wrecking Crew of Royce Isaacs and Jarrell Nelson, along with the Gorillas of Destiny, that's El Fantasmo and Hikuleo, to win the strong openweight tag team titles. Shota Umino defeat Jack Perry in technically his second match for New Japan. Mustafa Ali, the current TNA X Division champion, defeats Hiromu Takahashi. That's definitely a big win for Ali. Bullet Club, that's the team of David Finlay, Kenta, Clark Connors, and Gabe Kidd, defeat Eddie Kingston, Homicide, and members of the United Empire, that's Jeff Cobb and TJP, in a Riot Rules match, which basically no DQ. Zack Sabre Jr. regains the New Japan World Television Championship by beating Matt Riddle. Nick Nemeth beats Tomohiro Ishii, which sounds like a really good matchup. And then Jon Moxley beats Tetsuya Naito to become the new IWGP World Heavyweight Title champion, thus completing a very unique trifecta. That's winning the WWE title, the AEW title, and now the IWGP World title. Congratulations, Mr. Moxley. Let's see where this goes. So that is the results for Windy City Riot. We now go into recap for TNA Wrestling and AEW Collision. No SmackDown or Rampage because I felt like I was actually out that day. So, sue me. So we're going to start off with TNA, and we start off with a brawl between Josh Alexander and Hammerstone. They're beating 7 shades of poop out of one another. After a dive, Tommy Dreamer comes out, breaks it all up, pretty much says, Josh, I need you to go to the back. I'm going to handle Hammerstone. I got this. So Josh goes to the back. He gets in the ring with Hammerstone and pretty much says, look, you and Josh are cut from the same cloth. You guys are the faces of the heavyweight division. And seeing you cheat to win in your first match back in TNA, it's really concerning me that you're going down this road. And the reason that they chant for me here in the 2300, they're in the ECW arena for this, is because I earned it. You can too, if you do the right thing. So they shake hands, and as Tommy Dreamer's leaving the ring, Hammerstone kicks him from behind, puts him up in the torture rack, but out comes Josh Alexander to make the save. Josh gets on the microphone and says, look, it's clear you're not listening to what anyone has to say. So, I'm going to say this now. At Rebellion, we finished this in the exact right way possible, as I'm challenging you to a last man standing match. Ooh, that match is going to be sweet. I can't wait for that. So, our first official matchup of the evening, you have the digital media title on the line as Laredo Kid takes on Crazy Steve. And this was definitely a very entertaining matchup. Crazy Steve constantly going for Laredo Kid's mask. But then Laredo Kid, hulks up a little bit. He's getting his stuff in, but then I guess at one point he does snap, and he's just punching and beating the heck out of Crazy Steve. This concerns the referee, who tries to break it up. Laredo Kid then pushes the referee. So your winner by disqualification is Crazy Steve. Crazy Steve has his digital media title, goes for a belt shot, that misses. Then Laredo Kid picks up the belt and, poses it with it for a while. So, definitely not the way I would have finished that match, but I guess they're going to put it on the pay-per-view. We then see both PCO and Khan being in isolation, readying themselves for Monsters Ball, which is the main event. We'll get to that a little later. So then we go backstage for a Time Machine promo. Looks like Alex Shelley is apologizing for his trying to be the lone wolf and trying to tear Time Machine apart. Pretty much says, look, brothers, we're obviously better together, and while brothers do fight sometimes, we also hug. And so, big old group hug. We'll see, we'll see where that leads, because I don't think that story's over, not by a long shot. Next up, we got some tag team action as the Ace and Bay connection, that's Ace Austin and Chris Bay, take on the debuting team of First Class, that being Rich Swann and AJ Francis. And this match was really, really fun, especially with Swann in against Ace or Bay. AJ definitely got some good stuff in, but obvious highlights were Rich Swann, Ace, and Bay. And the falling out knee that AJ Francis does apparently has a name. That's Tennessee Whiskey. That's a great name for that. AJ Francis with the world's strongest slam wasteland move. Francis pretty much blocks the Art of Finesse by Chris Bay into a roll-up by Swann. So your winners are First Class. And this brings out Joe Hendry, who we haven't seen in a little bit. Pretty much saying, look, Swann, I give you every opportunity to come out and explain why you teamed with AJ. Instead, you came up with all that BS. And let me add just one more thing. At Rebellion, Swann, it's going to be you versus me. So, nice easy setup for a potential matchup. So next we get Santino Marella. He's kind of, doing something backstage. It looks like he's looking at a GPS or something on his phone. And then he runs into Ash by Elegance and her sommelier. Pretty much saying, look, Steph DeLander obviously got that big win in the 10-for-1 match. 8-for-1 match. So, but that was replacing Ash. So, by proxy, Ash should get this title shot. And Santino was like, that's not exactly how this works. But I'll give it some consideration. And he runs off while Ash and the sommelier kind of yell at him. So, Yeah, let's see where this goes. So we have Ali backstage. He's kind of just losing his mind, saying, Jake, Jake, Jake. And then he runs into the grizzled young veterans, pretty much complaining, how is Santino still giving Jake this title match? He's way over the limit. And then Gibson pretty much says, it's not like you to pick fights. And then they kind of argue for a little bit. Then Jake something comes in, pretty much says, Ali, like it or not, I got my shot, and there's nothing your minions can do about it. Oh, those are fighting words. We'll see that a little later. So next up, we got the Knockouts title contract signing for Rebellion. You have Steph DeLander being accompanied by Matt Cardona. And then Jordan Grace coming out. Cardona then starts hyping up Steph DeLander. And then Steph signs the contract. Pretty much no talking. Then before Grace signs, she says, well, it takes a lot of confidence to come back and think I'm just going to give you this title. I've earned every accolade here in TNA. But wait, who did you beat for the DMC? Oh, that's me, Cardona. Grace retorts, are you just going to sit there while he talks to you? Then Cardona's like, oh, you really want to hear from Steph DeLander? Here you are. He hands the microphone to Steph, who pretty much says, look, I've had a busy year this year. I've had a long list of accolades just like you. And when TNA called me for this opportunity, I jumped on it. And I noticed about you that maybe you're a little distracted. Is your head actually in the game? Are you focused on keeping this title? Grace replies, the top priority has always been to represent TNA wherever I go. And yes, while I do wear so many hats, it's only because I want to outwork everybody. And at Rebellion, I'm not only keeping my title, but I'm going to continue to cement my legacy in the business. And heck, I've already beaten you. But I'd be more than happy to do it again. You little B-word. And then Cardona kind of jumps in and says, whoa, 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 whoa. You can't call her that. And Jordan it says, wasn't talking to you. To her. And then a little, he's a bitch chant goes. Jordan then eventually signs. Then Steph and Jordan have a little face-off. They shake hands. Steph tries to slam Jordan Grace into the table. That doesn't work. Jordan fights back. Cardona comes in, grabs Grace. And it looks like Grace is about to just destroy Steph DeLander and spinebuster her through the table. But Cardona stops her. Then a Steph DeLander chokeslam through the table. So there's your setup for Rebellion. That's going to be an interesting little matchup. So, next up, we got a Masha Slamovich promo backstage. Speaking in Russian, don't fully understand it. I do apologize. Then, Alicia Edwards and Myers and Edwards walk in, pretty much say, look, you've obviously still got your tag team title shot, but you don't have your partner with Killer Kelly being out. With Alicia with you, you could be champ. What do you say? And then Masha says something in Russian and walks off, leaving the system confused. Masha Slamovich in the system. I don't fully like that, but I don't know. I think it'd be a nice little change of pace for them, maybe. Next up, we got a little going back to this therapy session with Jonathan Gresham, which originally I thought was being led by Crazy Steve. I was very much wrong. Pretty much digging deeper on, Jonathan Gresham's previous comments about him hiding behind a mask. Pretty much says, look, I wear 3 masks. One I show to the world, shows his octopus mask. The second I only show to my friends and family. The third I keep to myself. It's the truest reflection of who we are. It then cuts to someone else's mouth. I'm not sure who it is. It doesn't sound like Gresham, but it might be like a different side to Gresham. I don't know what's going on here, but I am very intrigued. So our next matchup is the World Heavyweight Champion, Moose, taking on Trent Seven. And honestly, I do wish this match went on a little bit longer, but overall this was a very fun hoss fight bout, with Moose getting a win via the spear. The System come in, they beat down Speedball Mike Bailey, who's checking on Trent, and then Time Machine come out, make the save. So, like I said, match was a little bit of nothing, but maybe one day we'll see these two in a full-blown matchup down the line. So then backstage, you see Santino and Gorilla, the System, walk in on them, saying, if you don't handle Time Machine, we're gonna floor you. Then Speedball Mountain come in. They pretty much say, look, if you really want to take on the Guns that bad, go for it. And we'll face whoever's left at Rebellion. So then Santino's like, what a good idea. So next week, you're going to take on the Motor City Machine Guns. Winners get Speedball Mountain. Everyone walks off. Then Decay come in, pretty much saying, look, all we want, we're going to make this easy on you. We just want our rematch at Rebellion. And Santino's like, alright, that was pretty easy. You got it. So, nice easy setup for the women's Knockouts tag team title match for the pay-per-view. Next up, we got Jake Something taking on James Drake. And this match definitely went a little longer than expected, with Jake Something eventually winning via the Into the Void. Then, post-match, out comes Mustafa Ali, along with some protesters, pretty much saying, yeah, you don't belong in the X division. It clearly needs limits. No to Jake. No to Jake. Very interesting chant. Then Jake Something just hits a big old dive on the whole crowd, gets Ali back in the ring. Ali tries for a belt shot, that misses. Jake Something set up for the powerbomb. Grizzled young veterans stop him and hit a grit your teeth. Then in comes for the save is Diener. And he fights off all 3. So that's very interesting, because when Jake Something first started in TNA, he was known as Cousin Jake, and he teamed with Cody Diener. So are they kind of reviving that team? That could be interesting. We then get a hype video for the next taping, where we have Steve Macklin versus Nick Nemeth. That should be a fun one. And then we make it to our main event of the evening, and it's Monsters Ball. And what that is for 24 hours, the two combatants are locked in isolated rooms with no food, no water, no sunlight. And before the match, they're let out, and they're pretty much allowed weapons. So, our combatants tonight, you got Big Old Khan taking on PCO. And they pretty much went right into the weapons, including chairs, cookie sheets, trash cans and trash can lids. Khan brought out his chain and got PCO in the noggin a couple of times. PCO and Khan then set up a couple of tables. And then Khan set up a ladder bridge in which, and PCO kind of tosses Khan through the ladder bridge. They get back in the ring. Khan sets up the thumbtacks. Then he takes a handful of them, puts them in PCO's mouth, and then just cross faces. Goes for the neck snap finish, but that gets blocked. PCO with a chokeslam into the tacks, into the PCO salt for the win for PCO. I do hope PCO gets elevated up the card soon, because he more than deserves it. And we'll see where we go with Khan. So that was TNA Wrestling. We then go right into AEW Collision, where we first see footage of Windy City Riot, of Jon Moxley winning the IWGP title. Then we hear from his Blackpool Combat Club comrades in Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli. Hyping themselves up for the match for later. Pretty much finishing off with violence is our specialty. And you're going to see it for weeks to come with, Danielson taking on Will Ospreay Sunday, which that's going to be awesome. We go into our first matchup of Collision, and it's the House of Black taking on Dante Martin, Matt Sydal, and Action Andretti. Now, it is explained that Darius Martin is out, this time not due to injury, thank goodness, but instead due to him getting his pilot's license, in which, congratulations, Darius. Can't wait to see you fly high. This match, low-key, was awesome. You obviously got, I think MVPs was Action Andretti and Buddy Matthews. Those two worked really, really well. But then you had the unstoppable powerhouse of Brody King come in. He ran things for a bit. Eventually, the babyfaces did fight back after a while. However, after a bunch of dropkicks and a cannonball, your winners, the House of Black. This was a nice, kind of quick-paced match, but it still gave everyone a little moment. We then go backstage for a Toni Storm interview, of course with Mariah May and Luther with her. Pretty much saying there's been no greater love than ours. And obviously Toni has a lot on her plate. At AZM, do you want me to kiss your bottom? But all I'm going to do is beat you down. We then see post AEW Dynamite that Jericho is looking for Taz, and he wants Taz to talk to Hook because Hook isn't answering Jericho. And Taz pretty much says, "Yeah, I'll try my best." So apparently on Dynamite we're gonna have a sit-down powwow between Jericho and Hook. Now this next matchup, bit of a surprising one, as it's Lee Moriarty taking on Katsuyori Shibata. And these two, they tore the house down, man. This was an awesome matchup. Really, really good back and forth. And then Agano, who has joined Shane Taylor Promotions, for at least a little bit, gets in Shibata's face. But then, tit for tat, pretty much counters until Shibata gets Lee Moriarty into the sleeper hold, penalty kick, and your winner, Katsuyori Shibata. Post-match, Shane Taylor gets in, attacks Shibata. And then as that's going on, Hook comes out, make the save to run off Agano, Taylor, and Lee. So we'll see what happens there. We then get a backstage interview between Athena and Billy Starks, in which Athena is defending her Ring of Honor title in the main event of Battle of the Belts, which I will not be covering. She's pretty much saying, Red Velvet, you deserve all this. And while I got my hands full, Red Velvet, I'm not overlooking you because you are a threat. But I am the best champion in pro wrestling. And I'm going to make an example out of you. And I'm going to show the world what they've been missing. Ooh. Definitely miss seeing Athena on AEW TV. Although she's killing it in Ring of Honor. So, next up, we got a backstage interview with the Kingdom. With Roderick pretty much saying, look, how do you give everyone else credit but the champ, myself? I've been a fighting champ. I've been doing it on my own, just like Kyle. And tonight, I'm putting on a show, and I'm going to be giving a beating of a lifetime. So, that's also a Battle of the Belts thing we'll not be covering. So, next up, we got a Battle of the Interesting Styles, as it's Daniel Garcia taking on Angelico. And while this matchup did kind of get a little slow to start, it picked up in a big way near the end, including Daniel Garcia picking up the win with a leg lock. So, big old submission win for Garcia. I hope they got something interesting for Garcia coming up, because he more than has earned it. We then go backstage for a PCO promo, calling out Okada, saying thank you for not only accepting my challenge, but bashing me in the head with that chair. And now I've got a big old headache, but it's driving me to be me. And unlike you, Okada, I'm not just flavor of the month. You're not God's gift to wrestling. You're crap. I'm better than you, and Sunday I'm gonna prove it. So nice, kind of rambling promo from PCO, but it fits his character really, really well. We then go to our next match as Women's Champion Toni Storm takes on Stardom's Azumi. And I will say, not super familiar with Azumi, but this was a heck of an introduction as she flew around the ring like no one I've ever seen. It was crazy. At one point, Storm and Azumi fall out to ringside, and then Anna Jay and Maria May just start fighting up the ramp, which that's kind of nutty. So I guess this rivalry is continuing. They get back in the ring. Couple of powerbomb tries by Azumi, but that gets blocked. Couple of interesting arm drag. Azumi goes for a kick. That gets caught into a nasty looking suplex. Into the hip attack. The Storm Zero. Your winner, Timeless Toni Storm. And to celebrate, out comes Mariah May with a couple of flutes of champagne. They have a nice little embrace. It looked like Toni Storm was going for another kiss, but Mariah May, I guess, wasn't having it, so that got a little awkward. We then go backstage for a Red Velvet interview, calling herself high profile, saying, Athena, if you really want to stir up the pot, let's stir up the pot. I'm going to make an example out of you and prove why It was a mistake for you to come back into my house. Ooh, those are fighting words from Red Velvet. Then we get a Mark Briscoe promo on his own, saying, look, you guys have been underestimating me for my time in AEW, and I don't fear anything. And Adam, Eddie, and myself are violent men. Be afraid. Be very afraid. So that's a nice little hype for that trios match. We then get a on-stage Thunder Rosa interview. It's definitely been a while. So she comes out, thanks the fans in the arena and watching at home. Without you, we wouldn't be here and make AEW the place it is. But, Purrazzo, I don't need help to win the title. I did a lot on my own before you came here. I don't need your help. I fought hard to get to my position, and this is where the best wrestle. I was so proud of being champ, but my body couldn't carry me for what my mind wanted to do. And now I have another opportunity, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to remind you, I'm going to carry my pride of my people, and if I have to break every bone in my body, then that'll be it. And I'm going to represent everyone busting their ass in the back. And you made a big mistake of trying to wipe the paint off of my face. I'm ready to drag your soul to hell. Kind of a rambling promo from Thunder Rosa, but I absolutely loved it. Very intense, very passionate. You could feel her through the TV screen. So then we cut backstage. Deonna Purrazzo's cutting a promo, pretty much saying, look, obviously I didn't want you to step on your feet, Thunder Rosa, but Toni Storm doesn't have what it takes to be the champ. And if I can't get one Storm, I'll get the other. So next week on Dynamite, it's going to be me versus Mariah May. And then it's just kind of announced that the tag team title match between FTR and the Young Bucks is going to be a ladder match. Alright, that's a little random, but cool. We then go backstage for a Don Callis family promo. With Kyle Fletcher saying, look, gotta protect the Golden Goose so that it'll be a cakewalk for Ospreay at Dynasty. Tonight we got the Blackpool Combat Club. But boys, expect a heavy fine, because I'm going to guarantee you won't be walking out on your own. Ooh, some fighting words from the Callis family. So then we roll right into our main event of the evening, as it's the Blackpool Combat Club being represented by Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli, taking on the Don Callis families, Kyle Fletcher and Powerhouse Hobbs. And this was just it didn't feel like a choreographed match, if that makes any sense. It felt like a legitimate fight. Like these teams are fighting absolutely everywhere in the arena. Although they didn't use weapons, I feel like one of them would have picked something up. Eventually, Claudio gets Powerhouse Hobbs in the giant swing, in which that was impressive. And then Fletcher with a Rana off the table. Teams get back in. Claudio hits the neutralizer for a win for the Blackpool Combat Club. And as they're celebrating, Konosuke Takeshita comes in and jumps the Blackpool Combat Club from behind, bringing in Hobbs and Fletcher to join in. And then Takeshita with a brainbuster to Danielson on the ramp to end the show. Boy, Collision is really damn good. I'm sad I missed it the last couple weeks. But we're back in. We're good to go. So, that'll do it from me. So this coming week, I'm actually going to be taking a little wrestling break. I feel like I need it. Not to say anything's bad right now, but, I usually take a break post-WrestleMania, but I was so intrigued to see what was going on the Raw after Mania, I decided to watch and cover it. So, just going to take a little break, so that means no content Friday or Monday. So next Friday, we'll be back covering what we covered. And until that time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.